Welcome to another Explainer. We're jumping right into an absolutely fascinating deconstruction today. We are taking a magnifying glass to a highly symbolic, hyper-realistic piece of digital media that is literally engineered to provoke a reaction. By unpacking the lighting, the layout, and the powerful metaphors packed into this single image, we're going to see exactly how visual storytelling can convey some incredibly heavy geopolitical arguments. So, let's get right into it.
The dollar is dying. I mean, it doesn't get much more direct than that, does it? That is the bold, textual claim sitting right at the top of the source material we're looking at today. The creator here, they aren't hiding their thesis at all. They're putting it front and center in a way that just absolutely demands your attention. It sets this super dramatic, almost cinematic tone from the very first glance. It's a hook, right? It's designed to stop you in your tracks, whether you're just endlessly scrolling through a feed or scanning a webpage. By leading with this provocative statement, the artist is instantly setting the stage for a visual narrative of total collapse and transformation.
All right, Section 1, a cinematic vision. Let's dive into this artwork by first establishing the striking visual atmosphere the creator has engineered.
Let's break down those foundational aesthetic choices. First up, the format. This is your standard 16:9 thumbnail, but it's crafted with this hyper-realistic, cinematic quality. It acts like a literal window into a much larger narrative. Then, look at the background. That deep black? It's not just empty space. It's a deliberate void that pushes all the central action right into your face. And finally, the lighting. Check out that dramatic red and gold. Red naturally signals urgency, right? Danger, while gold signifies wealth and power. Put them together, and they instantly tell us that the stakes here are incredibly high.
Which brings us to Section 2, the crumbling old guard. Let's look at how the traditional fiat currency is actually being represented here.
The absolute focal point of this artwork is a giant US $100 bill. But as you can see, it is not some pristine, freshly printed note. It is actively crumbling and split violently right down the middle. It's a micro-narrative of destruction. I mean, the $100 bill is arguably the most universally recognized symbol of American financial dominance out there. By showing it physically compromised, literally tearing apart, the artist is visually manifesting this idea of systemic vulnerability. It's the slow, deliberate destruction that you can almost hear when you look at it. The established financial fabric is just tearing apart.
What's really interesting here is the stark visual contrast between the two halves. On the left, the dollar is faded, it's dusty, crumbling, basically a relic that's losing its luster. But then, as the bill splits, the right side doesn't just show empty space behind it. It reveals this glowing, golden light. This contrast is the real engine of the narrative. It's not just about something ending, it's about something new and vibrant breaking through the decay.
The source material uses a very specific phrase to describe this, noting the bill is cracking apart like ancient stone, which is a brilliant linguistic and visual trick, honestly. Think about it. Paper doesn't naturally crack like stone, right? It tears, or it burns. By giving paper the physical properties of heavy, ancient stone, the artist is equating modern currency with a fallen empire. It subtly suggests the dollar is this monolith that has stood for centuries, but is now finally succumbing to structural failure. Kind of like the ruins of Rome or Babylon.
So, the crucial point is, what exactly emerges from all this destruction? Let's move to Section 3, the rising phoenix, and find out.
From that glowing golden light emerges a phoenix. A phoenix, as you probably know, is the classic mythical bird that cyclically regenerates, right? It gets new life by rising from the ashes of its predecessor. The artist deliberately chose this exact motif to impartially communicate a big idea. The destruction of the old system isn't the end of the world. No, it's the fiery precursor to the birth of a totally revitalized financial system.
And this brilliantly illustrates the creator's underlying economic commentary. So let's hit Section 4, the alternative assets, and see what this bird is actually made of. If you look closely, the body of the bird is constructed from three very specific financial assets: gold coins, Bitcoin symbols, and yuan notes. This is where the geopolitical thesis comes into sharp focus. Gold represents a return to historical, tangible, intrinsic value. You know, the ultimate safe haven asset. Then you have Bitcoin symbols, representing the decentralized digital future of finance that operates totally outside traditional banking control. And finally, the yuan notes. These represent a shifting geopolitical power dynamic, pointing straight toward the rising influence of Eastern economies. By combining these three distinct elements into one rising creature, the artwork is suggesting a multipolar financial future is stepping right into the void left by the crumbling dollar.
Finally, let's examine Section 5, the final message.
we need to look at the explicit textual message layered over this dramatic scene.
Up at the very top of the image, breaking through that deep black background, is a space dedicated to bold white text in thick block letters. The typography here is just as calculated as the lighting. Thick block letters convey authority, they convey certainty, and honestly, a bit of alarm. That stark white against the dark background is designed to grab your attention instantly. It acts like a giant headline for the visual news story playing out below, framing the entire scene with an inescapable conclusion.
And that brings us right back to where we started. The text reads, "The dollar is dying." After you absorb the faded, stone-like decay of the bill and the vibrant emergence of gold, Bitcoin, and the yuan, this text anchors the whole metaphor. The creator is making absolutely sure there's zero ambiguity here. The overarching message is an intense, highly provocative thesis about an imminent transition in global reserve currencies.
Now, it's also crucial to note a very specific technical detail explicitly stated in the source. There is no text generated by AI here. In an era where digital art is so heavily automated, that distinction really matters. It points out the deliberate, human-crafted nature of the messaging. Every single choice, from the specific assets making up the phoenix to the exact placement of those block letters, was a calculated human decision meant to convey a very specific economic perspective to you, the viewer.
So we've unpacked the deep black voids, the dramatic lighting, the ancient stone metaphors, and the very specific composite of that rising phoenix. It is literally a masterclass in using visual symbolism to make a potent argument. But the ultimate question remains for you to answer. Is this artwork just cinematic hyperbole designed to capture clicks? Or is it a highly accurate reflection of a very real, very present shifting of global wealth and power? It's definitely a profound concept to chew on the next time you look at a $100 bill. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to keep questioning the visual media that shapes how we understand the world.